Back to the great Commonwealth of Virginia, where the chair of the subcommittee on help is standing by. Representative Good, you're recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you to our witnesses. I think you're seeing the light at the end of the tunnel here. You know, it's the real question for our country, for our government, is who among the world's population, the 7 billion that don't live in the United States, has the inherent right to come to the United States, whether legally or illegally. And the Democrat Party, the Biden administration, and the Democrats in the House and the Senate, they believe that everyone who doesn't live in the United States has the right to come here, whether legally or illegally. And when you ask them the question, how much is too much, or when is it too much, or what's the limit? Because what percentage of the 7 billion people who don't live in the United States would come here if they could? What percentage would? The Democrats never answer that question, but they do believe that rather than us as Americans, the American government, the American citizen, the American taxpayer, having the right to choose who comes to our country legally, lawfully, earning their citizenship, pledging their allegiance to our country, trying to make us better, as 1 million approximately legal immigrants do a year in the most generous country in the history of the world to immigrants from all over the world. Rather than believing that we should have the right to choose, the Democrats and Joe Biden believe that it is their right to come, irrespective of how they come, irrespective of who makes billions of dollars off of it, irrespective of the conditions they suffer on their journey to the United States illegally. That is the real question. And this is just one aspect of the question. Since Biden took office, more than 500,000 illegal alien children have come to the U.S. that we know of, they acknowledge. Ms. Rodriguez, my questions are for you for this. I know you've been to the border many times. I've been there 6 times myself. How have these children been used as tools or pawns to facilitate the illegal invasion of adults? Or what have you learned about their experience that these children are suffering as they come on their journey to and across the U.S. border?
We can spend several hours just talking about this in particular, and I really appreciate your question. And for me, it is personal because I've spent over 30 trips over the last several years, and I've witnessed these children coming over. And how does a 10-year-old girl from Honduras or Guatemala end up on the banks of Roma or La Jolla, Texas? And you have to listen to their stories about being shoved into bodegas. And when you ask yourself why is this happening? And then on the flip side, released to sponsors that under this administration, if you look at the statistics of how many of these unaccompanied minors are then being released to sponsors who are not their parents, level 2 and level 3 are over 50 and 60% or higher in Texas. It's astounding and it's disturbing. Why? It's the policies. It's the policies that are incentivizing this because they're used as a meal ticket to come to the United States and to get and to be eligible for additional resources that they otherwise would not be eligible for if they didn't have a minor living in the household. Who is this benefiting? It's not benefiting the migrant children. It's not benefiting them, and it's not benefiting our communities, and it's not benefiting American children. This is a disaster for our country.
There's no humane or compassionate component to these policies, are there?
Absolutely not. I've seen the face of this trauma. I've seen it in grown adult women who every single time when I've asked them, would you take this journey again? What is it that's incentivizing you to come? And they're like, we're being told, now's the time to come. Come on in and you're going to get into the United States. And then when I ask them, would you do it again? Every single time resoundingly, absolutely not. Tell them not to come. Because they had an idea that it was going to be dangerous, but they didn't know like this. And at what cost? To then be released into our communities? And what does their future look like when we can't even speak their own language? I've met people from Uzbekistan, from Tajikistan, from Georgia, from China, from all over the banks, all over the world on the banks of the Texas border. How are we going to meet their needs when we can't even meet the needs of our own American communities here? It's crazy.
What have you learned, and I know we're running short on time, but what have you learned about how the children are coming with, as you mentioned, those who are not their parents, or even the same children are used as pawns and tools to go back and forth across the border with different individuals to bring them into the United States? They acknowledge they've lost, 85,000 they admit, so you know it's far more than that, but just speak to that with the time we have.
Well, I think what's even more astonishing is the fact that instead of de-incentivizing the children for coming, Under this administration, the federal agencies has actually made permanent or codified dangerous, relaxed policies and made them even more relaxed. So this is a drop in the bucket of what is coming now that these changes have been made.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for your testimony. Appreciate all of you being here today. Thank you. I yield back, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.